Hello, welcome to Dungeon Rolls Podcast. I'm your host, Justin. So, today I'm reviewing Suicide Squad by Trial by Fire, which is written by John Ostrander and art by Luke McDonnell, which is published by DC Comics. It costs like $20 US, 24 Canadian, which this comes with like 8 issues, so that doesn't bother me too much, but nowadays you pick up a trade that's like has 6 issues and it'll be at $24 because DC Comics, and not even just DC Comics, comics in general are going up in price because the industry is in trouble now, and that has been the last couple of years because of how political the books have gone, and like people are like hated because they're focusing too much on politics and not good storytelling. So if you're one of those people who thought comic books were only political in the last 20 years, boy, have I a book to tell you about that will disappoint you, which is Suicide Squad Trial by Fire, which starts off with the origin story of the Suicide Squad, where Amanda Waller is in a meeting with President Reagan trying to get the Suicide Squad reinstated, right? Which they already had a mission already, which kind of bothered me because they don't include it in here, which is Legends 3, where apparently they fought some flaming giant too, and one of them gets killed. So why are they even having this meeting with the president if they're already doing missions? I don't fucking know, but whatever, right? Where in this issue, like I mentioned, you get the Suicide Squad's origin story, which they were originally a World War II comic book where they were about ragtag soldiers fighting dinosaurs, and that team was also being led by the original Rick Flag, which named his son after him, which is not pretentious at all, by the way. Which the only difference is he's Richard Montgomery Flag, while his son is Richard Rogers Flag, I think, right? And you also get the new Richard Flag's backstory, which he has been in comics for a while at that point. He was in a team with Animal Man, which I forgot what that team was called. I think it was Forgotten Heroes or some shit, right? And yeah, and you also get a cameo of the JSA, which is Justice Society of America, right? Which one of my the JSA is one of my favorite superhero teams. So, which we'll eventually review JSA books on this on this channel, right? And you also get you learn about why Rick Flag would be the leader of a team of basically super criminals who promised them, hey, if you survive our suicide missions, which hardly any of them ever die. You have one person did, and that was only because she had pissed off Captain Boomerang, and so Captain Boomerang pretty much let her die. Spoiler alert. Well, that was in the first issue, which the Secret Origin was part of Secret Origins 14 or some shit. Yeah, Secret Origins 14. So yeah, the book starts off with Secret Origins 14, then it starts with the Suicide Squad book, where the team at that point was Bronze Tiger, who's a martial artist, who was trained by the League of Shadows, Nightshade, who's this girl who's not a criminal, but joins the team because, you know, she wants to help people, right? And then they mention, like, you know, she, like, Amanda Waller helped her, would help her with something. Her powers are she can teleport, and she also has powers like Blackout from Ghost Rider, which go look that up. It basically that power is basically what it sounds like, Blackout. You also have Deadshot here, who's on the team because they don't mention why. I think they mentioned because they promised him psychiatric help, which, you know, he gets into a relation. He kind of starts off a relationship with his female psychiatrist, where he tells her, like, they have a talk about, like, you know, him, his sexual relationships aren't. He doesn't have any. He just pays for sex by hookers. Which is something you should never tell a woman, by the way, if you've ever done that. Because obviously, you know, that's kind of like, you know, whatever. Which, for some reason, horns the girl up and they kiss. But, like, yeah, he leaves after that. Also, you have Plastique and Mindboggler. What Plastique's powers are, I don't know. It seems like she can shoot energy blasts, and Mindboggler basically has powers kind of like, what's the Native American girl from New Mutants, whose name I've forgotten. I think her superhero name was called Psyche, and that in the first issue, but then they changed it in the movie, which, you know, whatever. They also have Enchantress there, and their first mission is to basically, I'm just going to breeze through what the first the different, like, story arcs. Where the first mission is them fighting a super terrorist group, where two of their Suicide Squad members already infiltrated them, right? So when one of the Suicide Squad members tries to deflect, there was a pretty cool plot twist where, like, you know, that person was one of the infiltrators, who's Nemesis, who is this superhero spy whose powers are he can, like, change his face to make him look like anybody, right? And, like, you get some pretty cool, in this issue, you have this pretty cool battle at, like, a mountain where, like, they all face off against one of the members of this super terrorist group called, I think it was called Jihad, which this took me over a week to read, by the way. So, and, like, you know, members of the Jihad are this guy who basically his only power, he has a flaming scimitar that can cut through anything. Another guy who's like a martial artist who worships Kali. You have the Manticore, which is orange dude who's like feral as fuck. Basically a beast. You also have Jakuli, who has super speed and throws javelins, which Captain Boomerang fights him and basically, I wouldn't say one-shot him, but he takes him out in a couple seconds, which is funny since Captain Boomerang doesn't even have, you know, superpowers. He just throws boomerangs. Which, you know, Captain Boomerang, like, they try to make him the most hateable member of the team, but obviously he's the most likable, which I think was unintentional. And he's like the comedic relief, kind of. But he gets on everybody's nerves. Alright. So that issue I actually liked. And also you have this guy, I forget his name, Briscoe, that's his name, who flies like an attack helicopter called Sheba, who's also a part of the Suicide Squad team. But he's more like the cavalry. Right? So after that, you get an issue where our characters fights the female Furies, which is this team of supervillains from what's it called, Apocalypse, which, you know, they're under the command of Darkseid. Darkseid wants them to go and capture a prisoner at Bell Reef Prison, which is the headquarters of the Suicide Squad, right? And you know, you get some pretty cool fights there. This is a pretty cool issue. And then they show off cameos from different supervillains that will join the team later on, like Kronos, who's in the next issue after this. Where this is the very political issue where I have to walk on eggshells, called William Hell's Overture. Where I didn't really like this issue because, for reasons why, because I was pissed off. I was sick of politics and comics. So this is the one where it's like, holy shit, dude! Like, this is super political. Makes white people look super bad. Makes white people super bad. Where, like, you know, basically in this issue you have this white nationalist superhero who catches criminals, but like will only hand the minorities to the police, and like the white people he'll send to get, you know, indoctrinated at his, like, you know, white nationalist base. Where in this comic book, I'll give them credit, they tried this, but some of the characters, the black characters, they're super pissed off. But like the white characters will try to stay political neutral and will make excuses for the other white characters. So I kind of appreciate that he tried to stay, like, where he was trying to stay political neutral, but something tells me, you know, if this character was like a Black Panther or something, a Black Panther superhero, which, if people don't know who the Black Panthers were, they were a black nationalist group from the 70s. Where there's this awesome episode of the Black Dynamite cartoon where they have the KKK and the Black Panthers in one episode, and that was an episode where they had basically a racism is bad issue, but they were episode. But what I liked about that episode were it was equal with its racism is bad. They didn't pull the, you know, hey, it's okay for non-white people to be racist, but like for what if white people are racist, it's bad. No, they had the straight across the board racism bad. Doesn't matter if you're black, white, Asian, or whatever, right? So that's, to me, is the appropriate way to handle racism. You don't have do this where it's basically, hey, like, you know, if it's the other way around, no, it's, you know, whatever. So this issue, I did not like, and our characters basically have a psyop where they try to make William Hell look bad, discredit him with the other white people, with his white base, right? Which they don't kill him, they just, like, you know, they just make him look bad, right? So, and the next issue made me laugh my ass off, because this issue, which the next couple issues, because it's like a 3-issue arc where they basically get sent to Russia to free this political prisoner who, and these issues are basically the Cold War issues, because in the 80s, people were scared that America and Russia were going to nuke each other, for people who don't know. So, like, yeah, the Suicide Squad with the Penguin, which Penguin is fucking great in these issues. He's hilarious. Yeah, and, like, you know, he comes up with a plan to try to rescue the political prisoner, which is this female writer who was going to get set free anyway. You find out in the beginning of the book, but, like, you know, whatever. So they go to rescue her. Turns out she doesn't want to be rescued. She doesn't want to be rescued. And our characters are stuck in Russia. They fight Russian superheroes called the People's Heroes, which are pretty weak. They beat them relatively easy. And then the army shows up. The Russian army shows up. But you know, they get reinforcements. Our characters get reinforcements thanks to Briscoe's Sheba and like Captain Boomerang and Bronze Tiger, right? Which these issues were pretty good. It reminded me. It's basically Russian Argo. If you ever seen the movie Argo with Ben Affleck, that's what these issues remind me of. And you also learn that Deadshot can speak Russian and that he used to be like, well, he grew up rich and he was a card-carrying communist back in the day. He was basically a champagne socialist, but you know, he grew out of it, unlike, you know, people like Alan Moore. Right, yeah. So, and after that, you know, you get like, after that, you get like, you know, issue called Personnel Files, where Simon LeGrief, who's one of the psychiatrists of the Suicide Squad, you know, does exposition, you know, tells you a bit about the different members. They also introduce a new member of the team, which is called Privateer, who has a thing for Rick Flagg's ex, and you also find out that, you know, that Captain Boomerang is up to his old tricks committing crimes, but he's doing it under the disguise of Mirror Master, because him and Mirror Master were friends, so I guess Mirror Master gave him his mirror gun. Which, you know, Mirror Master was dead at this point, due to Crisis on Infinite Earths, which I have that book and I plan on reviewing. So, if I were to give this book a review, rating, fuck. This is my third take, so I'm not doing any more takes after this. So basically, I really enjoy the premise of the team, but it's the thing where this comic book, some of the characters you're supposed to like, but people obviously grew to hate. Like, nowadays, if there's anytime you see the Suicide Squad, they make Amanda Waller really hateable, which I'm guessing you were supposed to like her in this book. And, like, you know, characters like Captain Boomerang and Deadshot are, like, you know, the favorites of this team, right? When you're supposed to, you get the feeling in the book you're supposed to hate them, right? Which, you know, I don't know. I really enjoyed parts of this book, and there were parts of the book I really hated. And I really did not like, you know, in the beginning of the, you know, Russia arc, where they have to go and rescue the political prisoner. Like, Amanda Waller and Rick Flag have a conversation where they don't like the mission. She doesn't like the mission either. It's too political, and she tries to avoid political. When the previous issue before that was entirely politically motivated. So that to me was a bit hypocritical for me. But overall, I think the book is good. It's the thing where if you're not bothered by politics in comic books, you're probably going to like this book. And other than that, you know, the book, I would say, when it's not political, it's pretty great. There's cool action, cool intrigue. I really like how the characters are written. Well, I would say most of the characters. Right. But overall, I would say this is a pretty cool book, and I'm giving it a 7 out of 10. So my next comic book review is going to be the Inhumans. So, Origin of the Inhumans, which is written by Stan Lee and with art by Jack Kirby. Hopefully that book won't be as political. won't be as political as this book, which obviously it's a 60s book, so it's not going to be, thank God. Alright guys, that's it for today's review. Peace. And also, happy Easter, and get well soon, DMX. For people who don't know, DMX was in the hospital last night because he had a heart attack due to an OD or something like that. So hopefully DMX, the Dogmaster Extreme, gets well soon. Alright, yeah. That's it for today. Peace.